Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting January 9th, 2025 into order. Everybody, please. Thank you. This time, ladies and gentlemen, please forgive us. We had a few friends, colleague that has passed away, and wanted to have some special intentions tonight. So, with Councilwoman McKinney.
Why don't we talk about Wendell first?
Oh, okay. Let's do. Colleague Wendell Dufour suddenly passed away at the end of December. A good friend of everyone that's on the administration here in the council, and my members here would all like to say something. So I would like to start with Councilwoman McKinney here to my left, please.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to say, I worked with Wendell for over, I guess, 6 years. That makes me feel really old now. But he was a gem. He was very active in the community. He's worked for the city for so long. It's really, as I said, like that was a shock to find out that he passed away. He was the planning department, so it's a huge loss to the city of Kenner. I know there are other members of the planning department that are going to help and bounce back, but it's a truly great loss. He was there for a really long time, and we all miss him. And there are no more words to express how much he will be missed.
Councilman Wilmot.
Yeah, and Wendell's been a good friend to all of us up here, and he's just been a sound of reasoning for a lot of things that came through zoning and planning. So we had a lot of faith in him. He was a great city employee, and he's going to be dearly missed by all of us. But in addition to Wendell, I have some other special intentions I'd like to mention. Please keep the following persons and their families in your thoughts and prayers as well. Those who have recently passed, of course, we just mentioned Wendell, Jack Ziwi, William King Jr., and Saley Molina. Also, all the terror attack victims of Bourbon Street incidents and all the victims of the California wildfires. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as well. Thank you.
Councilwoman Dunn.
Yes, I only met Wendell since I got on the council, and a lot of things I didn't know. But one thing he did say to me, if you need something, call me and I will be there. So there were some things that he had to really educate me about when it came down to planning. And I'll never forget, he came to my office with his two sons and sat there and explained everything I needed to know about the zoning department, how it works, and all of those things. But one thing I loved about him, he was fair. And whether you agreed with his decisions or not, he was very, very fair. He never interjected politics into his decisions. And I thought that that was something that really touched my heart, because being that he was a part of the, administration, sometimes they interject politics, but he did not. And I really do appreciate that. And I would like to piggyback off the other people I really didn't know, but let's keep those that's of the terror in California and those places in our prayer. Thank you.
Councilman Hatt.
I knew Wendell the last 3 years being in this seat, and not only would he be extremely knowledgeable about everything and did take the time to explain things to all of us, he was also a New Orleans type character. He was on the crew of Tux for 20 years. He was a Mardi Gras nut, kind of like I am, and we really hit it off when I first met him, talking about our stories with Carnival and things he was involved with the city and Kenner and Orleans over the years, and it was a shock. I just really identify with that guy because he was always sitting right there, and he always had some kind of funny story he could tell you in the middle of all his antics about planning, which was incredible, and it's a huge loss. completely in shock and upset when I heard about that. So God bless him and his family. I'll be going to his services tomorrow morning.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yeah, Wendell was one of our best guys, and I think the thing that set him apart was the way that he explained everything to all of us, administration, council. When he did his presentations, they were flawless, and he would always explain the pros and the cons on planning changes that would come up to try and clear your mind so that you know what the ramifications would have been for the city of Kenner if we did this or if we did this. So it was a situation where he didn't take a side, but he made sure that we were educated enough to be able to understand what was going on and how it would affect the city long term after we're all gone. He was a good guy, positive guy, never heard anybody say a bad thing about him, and he was always there for us, and he was there for his family. He loved his job. So I'm asking everyone to please pray for the Dufour family and make sure you keep them in your prayers while they go through these tough times. We had another question for the pearly gates. Why does something like this happen? Thank you.
Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. Yes, just to echo all the comments, and I think Councilwoman Dunn hit it on hit the nail on the head. He was, and as you said, Councilman Brannigan, he explained everything, made certain you understood it, you knew where the right thing to do was based on what the law said and what the rules said. So always quick to return a call if he couldn't take it, and certainly will be a loss to the city, and thoughts and prayers with he and his family. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. My experience with Wendell was the things I have on my computer downloaded right now. He downloaded them on my computer for me when it first came on. New to politics, new to government administration, Wendell taught me a whole lot. And it was very shocking to me of his passing, but I'm going to miss my friend, and I hope he's very well up there in heaven. Now, Councilwoman McKinney.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again, Council President. I just wanted to, also, you mentioned Saline Molina also passed away last week. Everyone knows her as the We Are Kennerborough moderator, but she was more than just that. She was a community leader. She really cared about the residents of Kenner. She really cared about Kenner. She wanted us to be the best that we could be. She helped individuals. She helped community groups. She was very involved in University City. She wanted to get people to have community and be together in University City, and that's really where her heart was. She was only, she graduated with me at Bonneville. She was a fellow Bruin, and she was too young, taken too soon. She had a long battle with cancer that spread. She was luckily she passed away in Kenner, so she passed away at home. So I think that she'd be happy, here. So I'm just, she leaves behind her husband, her family, her grandkids. So just pray for her husband, her family, and then all that she's impacted. So I think, we all recognize, whether you appreciated her or, didn't appreciate her, because there are those out there, she really did have an impact on the city of Kenner, and I think that we all need to remember that. So pray for her family.
Yes, Celie was a very nice person, if you did not know her. I met her several times, and she would steward for the city of Kenner, and kept everybody informed of what was happening. Next, I want to say something about one of my constituents, Jack Ziwi. He passed away also in December. I want to say prayers for him and his family. He was also one that looked over Kenner government with a fine comb, whether he was correct or not, he always had something to say. But Jack and I became friends. He understood me, I understood him. But all in all, right or wrong, his heart was for the city of Kenner. Anyone else?
Over here.
Yes, sir.
Well, just a couple comments on Wendell. Most people probably don't know that Wendell has a pretty good thumbprint on our current Uniform Development Code, because as he was a faculty member at the University of New Orleans, they pretty much went through and kind of developed it. I know Amy Vallow worked with him pretty much every day and wants to say a couple of words. And also with Saley. She would let me know as police chief, and when I said I was running for mayor, we met a few times and pretty much made sure that I knew, you know, what she expected from the city of Kenner. And it was pretty much just run it like a business and don't run it into the ground. I think she was kind of tired. But with that said, Amy, if you'd like to say something.
He was a man of few words. Just kidding. He was a man of many, many words and many, many passions. And planning was one of them, amongst many. One of them was music. One of them was tux. And I just want to extend my deepest and sincerest condolences to his family and his children, as he will be greatly missed here in the city of Kenner. The planning department will be a very different place. It will be a wonderful place because we've got amazing people there already. But he had an impact on everybody here, as you can see. And so I have in closing just a little snippet of a song that maybe some of you may recognize or not in Wendell's honor. I never miss a beat. I'm lightning on my feet, and that's what they don't see. That's what they don't see. I'm dancing on my own. I make the moves up as I go. And that's what they don't know. That's what they don't know. But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop grooving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be all right. 'Cause the player's gonna play, play, play. And the hater's gonna hate, hate, hate. Baby, I'm just gonna shake it off and shake it off. We're gonna miss you, Wendell Dufar.
All right, in honor of Wendell, yesterday, as y'all know, we have an agenda meeting on Wednesdays before every council meeting. And there's always two characters that were talking before the meeting, during the meeting, and after meeting. So we had to tell Wendell to sit down and shut up yesterday, and Councilman Ronnie was talking to nobody, so there you go.
Ma'am?
Prayer and the pledge, please, next.
Let us bow our heads. Father, in the name of Jesus, dear Master, as we come together once again this hour in the evening, Father, we just want to come and tell you thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us, on the city of Kenner, on the council, on the mayor, on the police chief, on the administration, on the people that live in Kenner. Lord, we thank you for them tonight, but we also asking you to look down on the bereaved families tonight. Lord, these lives have gone on to be with you, but Father, their families are still here, and I'm sure that their hearts are heavy. But we are asking you in the mighty name of Jesus to lift that heaviness away from them. Dear God, we just didn't realize that even when the year came in, we were already going through, dealing with these families. But dear Master, the terror attack, Lord, we lift those families up to you, dear God. We know their hearts are heavy. We know those that are recovering in the hospital. Lord, have mercy upon them. God, we pray for California tonight. God, I know we have gone through one storm after another, but Father, this devastation is just so much to even look at, dear Master. But one thing about it, you're still God. And just like we were able to recover from the storm, we know you'll recover them from the fire, dear Master. And I pray, dear God, that this year, even though it started off rough with all of us, dealing with the bereavement and the disasters and the terror attacks and all of this, but I'm asking you to look down on Kenner and on this United States of America, that you would divinely protect all of us, keep us, dear God. And I pray, dear Master, that none of us will be in a position where we will forget who you are. And when things get rough, we can look up. And we thank you for it tonight. Bless this council as we get into the business of the city, that the decisions we make will be pleasing to you, but it will be helpful for the citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Councilman Wilmot, please lead this pledge.
Please place your hand over your hearts and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B 14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Next, we have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. A couple of comments, and then the last one's going to be, it's going to take us all year to get through it. So while we're praying for the Bourbon Street families and victims, I'd like to publicly thank members of the Kenner Fire Department and Kenner Police Department for their role in assisting when needed. I know the fire department received a call for assistance and rescue, and the Kenner Police Department, they backfilled the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office with some of their specialized units that were in New Orleans, and Chief Conley and his men kind of took over the Jefferson Parish duties and luckily weren't called upon. More happy news, the Duke Street Fire Station test pilings are now in. They should stay in for another 10 to 14 days. Once the tests are back, the construction will begin, and hopefully it's done, hopefully before Christmas, but probably sometime in the beginning of next year. City Hall Building A, if y'all drove down Williams Boulevard today, has been demolished. It's this morning they took it down, and they don't make things like they used to, because that safe in that building was probably, 15 by 15, and it's probably still standing because they couldn't knock it down. So nobody was breaking into the city's safe in that building. And also, 6 firms responded to our request for qualifications for the design of that new complex. So they just came in. Some of the staff members are evaluating them, and we'll pick one to design a new complex, and we'll have a lot of public input when that process starts. And this is the fun one, just to make everybody aware, the City Council and all the residents, that the city's recycling and drop site contract expires February 2026. So we'll be dealing with that in the coming months. Right now, the residents pay $2.25 a month for both recycling and the drop site. So it's one fee for both services. Some people like recycling and not the drop site. Some like the drop site and not recycling. But you pay one fee for both services. So we'll deal with that, but we'll have some meetings around the city and have public input, and sometime at the end of the year, we're going to have to figure out if this council wants to continue recycling in a drop site, or do it like the parish does it, or send our residents to the parish dump site where it costs them $14 a visit. But that's just want to put on the radar. It expires in February of next year, so we'll be tackling that all through the summer and going into next fall. And that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Next, do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor? Seeing none, under the consent agenda, I have item 1, approval of the minutes, the regular council meeting of December 20th, 2024. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2436-25. The City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on January 20th, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the purpose of the 41st Annual Martin Luther King Jr. March and Ceremony at the A.P. Clay Center, 200 Decatur Street in Kenner, Louisiana. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Sharwood. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings for final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,710, an ordinance granting a franchise agreement with Entergy Louisiana LLC to provide electrical services throughout the city of Kenner. Have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Lahat to open the public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to address the council in this matter, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Lahat to close your public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Lahat to approve. Councilmember Kenny?
I wanted to say, as an energy employee, I'm going to not vote on this.
I'd like to say something to this also. I'm going to tell you I'm very displeased with some of the things that have not been accomplished. I will let all my colleagues here know, people home and here also know, that for the last 9 months, almost 10, I've asked Energy to remove a used utility pole that has been standing at the corner of 20th in Iowa for the last, like I said, almost 10 months. There's also several poles that are severely leaning in District 2. They have also outlined over a dozen poles that need to be removed. I've gotten 0 response from Entergy. I don't like it one bit. I don't know what we can do, but for them, we pay Entergy a whole lot of money for the streetlights, and I don't know, do we receive any funding from this franchise agreement? Ms. Liz?
Yes, we do. The agreement as it is now, and if renewed, it's 2% of their, was it gross revenue of the Kenner residents, excluding government.
And that's offsets to what we pay for them for street lighting per month?
It's a revenue source, so we use that revenue source to budget, to use for the budget. So it is, I'm pretty sure it's like 1.2, let's see. This year we budgeted 1.7 million to receive. Last year was 1.6 that we received. So from this agreement, we get about $1.7 million.
Okay, so that kind of offsets some of our light bill that we pay them for the month. All right. But tell you, we need to see more from Energy. We need to see them respond. I know Councilman Lahat has had a problem with outages in his area. We've finally gotten them straight. Joy?
Why don't you, I'll talk after.
Okay, thank you. All right, but I'm not happy. I'm not happy with Energy's performance. Councilman Hat.
Thanks, Ronnie. I know Michelle Berg, Director of Customer Relations, is that the right choice? And Jimmy Aiken are here tonight. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, I had definitely some issues a while back, but recently the upgrade work going on in Driftwood and Lake Trail has been great. I've heard 0 complaints about that from constituents. You're actually ahead of schedule at this point, so Jimmy just advised me tonight that you're going to be moving down to the south portion of Lake Trail So we're going to have to notify those residents in the coming month. So there's a lot of underground wiring being replaced, which the residents wanted. And I thought y'all's response for the hurricane this past year was sensational. It was great. You were prepared. We're back up and running. My district, probably 95% within 24 hours. The residents took notice of that. A lot of people complimenting you guys. So yeah, I had some criticisms definitely the last couple of years. The outages have definitely been a lot less since then. So y'all have been very responsive to District 3. I want to thank y'all for being here tonight, and I hope the upgrade work continues, what we're doing, and thank you again.
I know you're probably not aware of some of the problems, but I've actually had to ride my district and notify after energy is transferred. I've notified Cox and AT&T for their transfers, when it should have been Energy's job to do that. So I'm not happy with it. Jimmy? Sir? Sir, you do.
Hey everyone, for those of you that don't know me tonight, my name is Jimmy Aiken. I am the Customer Service Manager for Entergy. I do all the governmental affairs right here in Jefferson Parish. I cover the municipalities of Kenner and Harahan, as well as all of Jefferson Parish. I've had the pleasure of dealing with Councilman Schwartz for over 18 months now, and while some of his points are very valid, and I definitely understand that we've had some issues on the engines process with transferring poles and facilities, I kind of feel like yes, we may have dropped the ball on a couple of those poles, but not all the transfers are on Entergy. There are other two utilities that utilize those poles in order for us to be able to transfer. And so, am I saying that the engines process is perfect? It is absolutely not. It is a flawed system. And I'm taking your words here tonight, and we're taking that back. There's a lot of eyes on the engines process right now. There are a lot of eyes on these stub poles that are in the ground, not just in Kenner, but all across the state. So we've got to do a better job with engines. I do agree, but I do feel like your words are very harsh just to Energy when there's two other utilities that are utilizing those poles. Both of those utilities have to work in conjunction with one another in order for that transfer process to happen. So have I dropped the ball? Or let me rephrase that. I've always been responsive to your emails, your phone calls, your text messages. I've always tried to call you back in a timely manner, and I've always spoken to our construction teams when you've had issues with those poles that needed to be transferred. Can we do a better job as a company? Absolutely. Same in District 3 with Councilman Lahat. I think that we've shown over the last year we're willing to make investments back, not only into our grid, not only back into Jefferson Parish, but right across the state, but especially right here in Kenner. With our Driftwood project, underground recabling that we're doing, you're going to have a Williams resiliency project that we have planned in 2026 that's going to harden that infrastructure running all the way down north from I-10 down towards the lake. I think that there's a lot to be said for what Energy's doing within the community. We've always been community stewards, always willing to engage in any type of event that's going on in Kenner, in Jefferson Parish, and across the state. So I do hear you. I wanted to let you know personally that there are a lot of eyes on this process, and we will do better in 2025. I just had a meeting with Councilman Bonanno today, and we spoke about the same issues with stub poles in the ground. But like I said too, this is a cross company between Energy, or cross utilities, I should say, between Energy, AT&T, and Cox that we've got to do better as utility companies. But I think it's harsh to say that it's just solely on Energy. But I'm more than happy to talk to you either later on this afternoon or either tomorrow and just resolve any issues that you have. But I'm sorry that it has come to this, and you have my word that moving forward, there will be a more eyes and more hands on deck and involved with the engines process.
I know I've notified you about Clay Street and West Metairie. Both of those streets, both of them, Energy has placed new poles in, or not Energy, y'all's contractor has installed new poles, and Energy has transferred. Has through the engine process, do you know if that has gone through to where we're now waiting on Cox and AT&T to do their transfers?
So I do my due diligence. I have two counterparts that are, I had the two separate me's of the Cox and AT&T world. So I don't know if you've seen, but Christina has moved on from her
Yes.
previous role at Cox, and I also have Eric Jones of AT&T. It is, and I'm not going to say this is not my responsibility but we have people that work in our construction departments they look at engines. If there's a problem with it not being transferred, I try to utilize, my position within energy to speak to my counterparts in both AT&T and Cox and let them know, hey, we're ready for, we've already set the pole and transferred our facilities. Now it's Cox's turn. Now it's AT&T's turn. As to whether or not they're rolling trucks out there to complete those transfers, I can't say. I can only do my due diligence from my standpoint, whether it's an email or a phone call to follow up. But there are a lot of instances where we are putting the engine's ticket into the system as, hey, we've set the pole, we've transferred, and they haven't gone out there and done that. So that's some of the portions of the problem that we're facing right now all across the state, but really too right here in Jefferson Parish and within Kenner. So like I said, there's a lot of eyes involved. From an energy standpoint, I can't speak on behalf of AT&T and Cox and what they're doing. That could be a one-off meeting where you get all three of us in the room and we speak on what we can do better. But I do know that I don't have access to engines. Okay, that is a separate department that is entering these tickets into engines for the transfers to happen. So,
Yeah, no, and trust me, we've tried, you, me, Christine, Eric, to just sit down. It seems like with everybody's schedule, it's almost impossible to get three of us. We try, sometimes we get two, but we never
Right.
get three.
well, I do know that the acting VP of Cox Communications has taken over Christina's role for right now until they find a replacement, and she's been very responsive. I've spoken to her today, actually, so maybe that's something that we get on the books here within the next week or two and really try to hammer this home as to how we move forward with the stub polls.
I remember Miss Suni,
It's Sonny, yeah.
Sonny?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Jimmy, let's get something rolling here, okay? I hate to see it come to this, but it's 10 months now I've actually removed that pole, and the pole's still there. And it's not because of transfers or anything like that. Everybody's transferred since March of last year.
Pole's just sitting in the ground, and that's something we will own that. That is on us, and we'll do a better job moving forward on that. And that, I'm not here speaking on behalf of that. It's more or less the things that are out of our control, where we've entered the information into the engines process, and now we're waiting on different utilities to come and transfer their poles. And that's what we're seeing in some areas across the board. I'm not saying we're perfect. Like I said, there's things that we need to own, and the pole on, 20th in Iowa that we haven't transferred, right, or haven't pulled the stub pole out of the ground, I'll take ownership for that.
And I want to yell at the messenger, okay? I'd like to see the director here and let him answer to me if the process going through why the pole hasn't been pulled.
Gotcha.
I hate to yell, but we all yell at the messenger.
That's my job. So shoot the messenger. Sometimes I'm the most hated person in the room, but that's okay. Somebody's got to do it, right?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Brannigan would like to speak.
Yeah. You know that we have problems throughout the city, okay? And basically, I just want to say that from District 4, I thank you for what you guys do. You always return my calls, you're always there, and basically, you had big shoes to fill when you came in and replaced Patrick. And you have filled them and gone beyond, so I just want to tell you that, I think y'all are doing a very good job for the city of Kenner, especially when you look at the hurricane recovery and everything. I mean, it's a situation where, sometimes things get pushed off, and that's understandable because there's got to be a priority list on how things go. But I just want to thank you and Michelle for always being there and answering questions and getting things done for me.
I appreciate that, and look, it's never been a more exciting time. Power delivery is not a very exciting thing, but there's never been a more exciting time on our side of it with Entergy, with all the great things that we're doing with the resiliency plan that's been approved for $1.9 billion, all the great things that we're doing in Jefferson Parish right here in Kenner. So I appreciate that statement, and look, we're continuing to pump money back into the communities that we serve and support. And I just thank y'all for working with me each and every day. You know, I'm only one phone call or text message or email away. And if I don't answer right away, I'll certainly get back to you in a timely manner. So thank you.
It's obvious that Councilman Brannigan is trying to get a credit.
I see that, but that's okay. It's okay.
How do you text?
All he had to do was just shoot me a text on the side, so it would have been all right. So.
Seeing no further discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 6-0. Councilmember McKinney has abstained. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,711. An ordinance approving the sale of a portion of Lot 17C, Square 40, Old Kenner Subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, bearing the municipal address of 409 Williams Boulevard. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to open your public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to address the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to close your public hearing. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, for approval. Any discussion? Councilmember Wilmot?
I'd just like to have some more details on this on the record.
All right, this is the old observatory that's sitting adjacent to the River Shack restaurant on Williams. Currently, it's not being used for anything and in dire need of repair if we were going to put anything back in commerce. The observatory dome is there, but there is no telescope, so it's not functioning. The people that own the River Shack want to incorporate that into their seating as like a small meeting room, and in the backside of it, some type of development to use the observatory dome the way it sits. The $65,000 sale price was done by appraisal, but just to be, open with everyone, we had an appraisal back in 2023, the beginning in March, and it came in at $80,000. But the latest storm did more additional damage to the roof. There's a new roof on it, but the inside, there's really nothing in it now, and it came back $15,000 lower. Now, the city bought this back in 1988. It's not a lot of record until, if y'all approve this tonight, the condition of the sale, it becomes a lot of record because that whole area is just one huge building that just kind of overlaps, property lines that the city owns, all of it. And the lots, there's a lot of problems with the lots. So the sale of this, at least that'll be a lot of record after the sale.
And the appraisal?
The appraisal, $65,000. I said it's $15,000 less than the one was done beginning of 2023, but hurricane damaged it more.
Thank you. That's all.
Mayor, that's the one right next to it, right? That's the building next to where the old place that burned down.
Yes,
It's that building. Okay.
yes. Is that common? That's where the kids write on their chalkboards on
Yeah.
if you're in the lawn of the River Shack, that's the common wall.
Seeing no further discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 11 of the Rules of Organization, Business, Order, and Procedure of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner City Council agenda deadline to Friday, January 17, 2025 at noon for the council meeting of January 24, 2025. I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution ratifying the acceptance of a grant from the Lupin Foundation on behalf of the Food Bank for the Department of Citizen Services. I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,712, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Risk Tree Service LLC for miscellaneous tree work on Loyola for Council District 5 in accordance with electronic bid 24-2149 and an amount not to exceed $35,571. Have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Council Clerk. This is just some long overdue work that needed to be done along the Loyolas and cleaning up and digging up old plants and ruined pots and just areas of overgrown trees and bushes and everything else you can imagine. So I forget how many pages the estimate was, but they've already started the work, and they do a good job, and I hope people are pleased that there's some improvement being done to all those overgrown items. So thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Seeing no further discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,713, an ordinance approving the use of state contract number 4400030783 with Economical Janitorial and Paper Supplies LLC for the purchase of various types of trash bags and can liners on an as-needed basis citywide at a cost not to exceed $30,000. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Dunn. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,714, an ordinance authorizing the utilization of Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office bid contract 24-AUG-2801 with Lamarck Ford to purchase vehicles citywide on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $1 million for the life of the agreement. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. Councilmember Wilmot.
Yeah, I need an explanation for this one, please.
Yeah, it's a citywide contract. That's basically for vehicles for all departments, for all city departments. We piggyback it every year, but it's a resource for us to get the vehicles on the rolling stock that we need.
It's citywide, so that's any city vehicles, police vehicles, fire vehicles, everything?
That is for purchasing of vehicles for every department within the city, from the police department, the fire department, the public works. Whenever we need a vehicle, we can go to the selected vehicles that were bid on by several different Ford dealerships, and Lamarck did win the bid through the sheriff's office.
We did this last year, correct? And how much?
This replaces the expiring contract.
Right.
Yeah.
So last year, how many vehicles did we have any, that
Yeah,
information?
we spent about $500,000, a little over that. It was split between 3 vendors the last time. But then we've also, with the shortage, they've been purchasing other things besides Ford. But for this contract, it's a little over $500,000.
And it was citywide, so how many vehicles, different departments, how did it work? Do we know? We have any
I think
idea?
majority of it was the police department,
Okay.
but I don't have a count.
And when those vehicles are purchased by the police department, it's usually used through their revenue source?
Yeah, it would be charged to their budget.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all.
Seeing no further discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 13,715, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a digital detail information report and community contract card online forms portal from Momentum ECM, a subset of Laserfiche, in an amount not to exceed $14,975 for the Kenner Police Department. Have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 13,716, an ordinance approving an agreement for capital outlay funding services with Pivotal GR Solutions LLC and an amount not to exceed $70,000. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 13,717, an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Department of the Treasury and the City of Kenner for construction of an amphitheater in Lake Town. I have a motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Councilmember Lahat?
Yeah, this is the state allocation, $475,000 from the state itself for the amphitheater project, just in a broad sense, correct? Okay, that's what I thought. Good to hear.
All done?
Yeah, that's it.
All council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 13,718, an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Department of Treasury and the City of Kenner for Roosevelt Boulevard improvements between Airline Drive and West Metairie Avenue. I have a motion by Councilmember Sharwood, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Seeing no discussion, all council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 13,719, an ordinance approving an agreement with Urban Systems Incorporated for professional traffic engineering services on an as-needed basis with an amount not to exceed $49,500 for the Department of Public Works. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Dunn. All council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance ratifying an emergency repair of an HVAC air handling unit in the amount of $8,952 from Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16B is an ordinance approving the guaranteed maximum price amendment to the agreement with Gibbs Construction LLC regarding construction of the Fire Station 38. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Casco Industries for 135 firefighting helmets in accordance with electronic bid 24-2150 in an amount not to exceed $31,977 for the Kenner Fire Department. Item 16D is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Casco Industries for the purchase of 270 Majestic PAC-2 P84 hoods in accordance with electronic bid 24-2151 and an amount not to exceed $10,732.50 for the Kenner Fire Department. Item 16E is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair of Fire Engine 376 in the amount of $5,993.58 from Cummins Sales and Service for the Kenner Fire Department. Item 16F is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Delta Fire and Safety Incorporated for the purchase of 135 firefighting gloves in accordance with electronic bid 24-2152 in an amount not to exceed $10,422 for the Kenner Fire Department. Item 16G is an ordinance ratifying an emergency repair of the 24th and Delaware Lift Station Pump Number 2 by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC, a sole source provider of Fairbanks Morse parts and equipment, in the amount of $32,378 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16H is an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of Lot C and a portion of the Gordon Avenue right-of-way, Square 1, and Lot B1, Square 2, Hanson Place subdivision into new lot YUR, Hanson Place subdivision, and rezoning new lot YUR from SI Special Industrial, Hanson Place subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, according to a survey by Linfield, Hunter, and Junius Incorporated, dated May 10, 2024, which properties are owned by DMY Properties LLC. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees. Mayor?
Hey, I forgot to mention on 15G, the monies for Roosevelt. I'd like to thank Rep. Joe Stagney for securing that money for the city of Kenner. And also, with Amy Vallow, would like to say a few words. With retirements, we have new directors come in. So we have a new director of fleet that started Monday. That we'll see if he works out.
I was able to introduce to you a few of you guys our new fleet director. His name is Mr. David Hastings. He's the small gentleman right there.
Yeah.
He comes with 39 years of experience in fleet management, and I am super happy to have him on our team, and you're going to see wonderful things coming out of fleet. So welcome to the team, David.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and/or motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Galen? Don Sorrow? Yes, ma'am. Please, approach the podium.
Good evening. First, I would love to thank Mrs. Amy who walked me through this. I live off of 27th Street, and I really want to thank Miss Amy because she's been a big help. First time meeting her in person. I live off of 27 in Richland Street. I've been there for 20 years, and I have watched 18-wheelers come up and down my street. So I timed it out. I said, well, the first 5 years, maybe they just come in the morning, you know, to go to the back, you know, they have business back there, you know, so the house, I'm used to it shaking and moving. So then I waited, maybe it'll just be, it didn't went from the morning to the evening, it doesn't matter. And I went back there to see all the workers, you know, they have a lot of work that go in and out with plants and everything. And I'm not inconsiderate that people need jobs and they have to work. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just opposed to my foundation, it's shaking. I'm opposed to, we had a deaf sign because we had a child was deaf. And I don't see the sign any longer. And the trucks, they are very disrespectful because they have to come from veterans and turn on Richland, which is a very narrow turn for them. So if you coming down Richland while they coming down Veterans, they're big, so they know they have the right of way. Okay, so if you so happen to get caught between that, them passing, which I have, and it's scary. I tell you, it is scary. And so I say that we can put our heads together and create a new route for they can go without going through the neighborhood, small little neighborhood. The concrete is constantly breaking. When they travel to, they always replace it because they have to chip off the concrete to get there at that stop sign. So I say, I'm not going to put nobody out of a job. I don't want to do that. But I believe that we can come together and think of a new route. Because I said to myself, I've been there for 20 years. I never imagined an airport would be back there. I never imagined a bridge would be back there. That construction work, I'm like, our whole neighborhood has been transferred. And I know they have the new airport, and I'm not opposed to anything. I just don't want to be shaking every second. And I'm like, am I gonna fall into a sinkhole one day? That's my worry. So thank y'all for hearing me.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to have Ronnie.
Ms. D?
Yeah, I know that's in my district, and when I took over this seat, there was a problem. And I remember meeting with Jose Gonzalez, who is the CEO. And we went back there, we tried to speak with the levee board so that the trucks, you know, because they had nowhere to turn around. And the levee board really rejected us on allowing the trucks to use their private road. So we were aware that, you know, that there was a problem, you know, since I got in the seat. And we did not neglect to do that. So if we can put our heads together, I'm more than willing. But I do know we did address the levee board and ask if we can use their private road for the trucks so they wouldn't, you know, but they rejected us. And that was when I first went in 2.5 years ago. So we knew there was a problem. I think what happened, the homes were there, and then all of the businesses came in afterwards. And that's what causes the biggest, portion of that property. Because I know every time you call my office, I know we refer you, somewhere else. But we're really looking into that from day one of us taking the seat. But the airport, not the airport, the levee board said absolutely not. They would not give us permission, not us, but the trucks permission to come up on their private road. So I know that that was one of the problems that we did look into. Because it wasn't just you, it was really another constituent also that complained about the heavy trucks that was coming in the area. So I just wanted you to know that, you were never neglected on it, but when they said no, it was nothing we could do because they own that road, by the levee for those trucks to come down and keep going, but instead they had to turn around, and that's what caused a lot of problems.
So, but that don't have to be the end of it, because they say no. We have to come together.
Yeah.
We have to, that don't mean the end. It's not the end, because
Yeah.
they say no. Because people, foundations being shaken, children's play out there, deaf kids, and I don't know what happened to our sign for the deaf child, because they cannot hear those trucks.
We will make sure that sign is put back up. And if, you call Vivian, I'm sure that will happen tomorrow.
So, so we are not saying that's it, nothing can be done. We're not saying that, correct?
No, we'll talk with you, and I know Amy did, because, they are the ones that handles, those situations of that nature. So I do know we weren't ignoring you, on the issue.
No, I know, y'all great,
Yeah.
y'all great, but.
And that,
Yeah.
we ran into a brick wall when the levee board said we could not use their private property.
But that's not the end, what
Yeah.
I'm saying. There has to have a solution. If all of us collectively come together, there have to be a solution. We don't want to wait to debt. We don't want to wait till tragedy. We got to come together and we got to fix this problem. I went down Roosevelt Street, there's no truck route there. I went down Loyola, no truck route there. And this is a resident.
I know.
And I wish I could tell you that because there's no truck route sign on Roosevelt, doesn't mean that they don't use it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, but not as quite often. We just got to find a solution for the people who work back there. I'm no engineer. I'm like, build a bridge. They build a whole bridge for the airport. I just know that it can't stay undone.
The chief like to say something. Would you? Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Karen Nugent and Ryan? Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Karen Nugent, 5444 Erlanger Road in District 3. When the city submits a bid for solicitation, I assume the objective is to get a maximum number of bids from interested vendors and in order to secure the best price for the city and for the taxpayers. 2 years ago, my son Ryan tried to bring attention to the list the city was using for its lighting supply contract. The list was a disaster. Ryan contacted all of your offices and shared his comprehensive color-coded analysis of the entire thing. In the end, he withdrew his opposition to approval of the new contract using that grossly inadequate bid list because he was told by the city official that the items in the contract could be amended or supplemented and rebid in parts as necessary. In other words, he was told that we wouldn't be stuck with this thing for 2 years. Well, it turns out that wasn't the case. But let me tell you, if Ryan got paid for every time a city official has told him something that turned out not to be true, he'd be a very wealthy man. Regardless, one good thing came out of that process. Ryan was given a meeting with the acting director of Public Works. He spent a great deal of time preparing for that meeting because he was excited to finally be able to talk to someone who could both understand what he was talking about and also potentially do something about it. The meeting went well. The director seemed impressed by Ryan's knowledge of the subject of lighting, and there were two key takeaways. One, the director admitted to Ryan that there wasn't anyone currently working for the city with the skills and knowledge to do the kind of analysis he'd done on the supply list. While this confirmed some of Ryan's worst fears, the second takeaway left him feeling a little more positive. Specifically, Ryan and the director agreed to do a complete examination of all city-owned lighting. The plan was to begin with landscape and sculptural lighting. That was a manageable place to start rather than trying to take on the entire city at once. Ryan took this task very seriously and spent 2 months working often into the wee hours of the morning, putting together an analysis and a series of recommendations that involved him visiting nearly every sculptural and lighting installation in Kenner. In August of 2023, he submitted his report to the director, the city's chief electrician, and a third department member, all of whom he'd met with previously. And when he waited and waited, no one replied. It wasn't until Ryan was sitting in a council meeting several weeks later that he discovered why. Apparently, sometime in the 2 months he was preparing the report, the position of Director of Public Works had been eliminated. I'm going to let Ryan finish his story, but before I do, I just want to thank and acknowledge some of the folks who are sitting over here. These are people who know Ryan, know what he's about. They're citizens of Kenner, and they've come here to show their support for him. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Ryan, sir. There you go.
Hello, my name is Ryan Nugent, and I live at 5444 Erlanger Road in District 3. Thank you, Councilman Swarth, and thank you to my mom, Karen, who helped me to get started here tonight. So where we left off, I just discovered that the person I spent all this time preparing a report for was no longer with the city. Fast forward a bit, and I eventually got a meeting with Miss Amy Vallow, one of the city's deputy CAOs. My hope was to pick up where I'd left off with the former director. Now, before I continue, I'd like to specifically thank Ms. Vallow for that meeting, as well as our other formal meetings, the other formal meetings we've had since then. You've proven to be more open-minded than virtually any other official I've encountered in local government, and you've given me hope that progress might be possible despite the other obstructionist forces that seem to be hell-bent on delaying that progress. That being said, progress is what counts, and despite those meetings, there has been very little progress or improvement when it comes to the city's approach to municipal lighting. Fast forward again to this past December when I was lucky enough to score another meeting, this time with Councilman Brannigan, Ms. Vallow, the city's chief electrician, and Christine Calamari from Public Works to discuss street lighting at Chateau Estates. At the very end of this meeting, I inquired again about the lighting supply contract since it's due for resolicitation very soon. Imagine how flabbergasted I was when Christine informed me that we would likely have less than a month from that date to revise anything that needed correcting in the supply list. You heard that right. The list had been trying to get fixed for a year and a half, now needed to be revised in a matter of weeks. Keep in mind that I spent 2 months on landscape and sculptural lighting alone when I was trying to give each aspect of municipal lighting the attention it deserves. Regardless, I decided it was too important to ignore. On December 19th, I composed a detailed email to Ms. Vallow and to Ms. Calamari, reminding them of the situation at hand and laying out a plan for dedicating more of my time to correcting and updating the bid list despite the unnecessarily short time frame. I got back crickets, no reply or acknowledgement whatsoever, but I pressed on because I knew time was short. On December 26th, I sent another email, this time informing them of the progress I'd been able to make thus far and detailing the nature of the issues I was continuing to discover. Again, no reply. It wasn't until this morning, after I had again donated a great deal of my time and professional expertise to trying to help the city, that I received a 4-sentence reply from Ms. Vallow indicating that Ms. Calamari was working on revising the list. Not a word about the work I'd already done, not a word about the concerns I was raising, and not a word indicating how Ms. Calamari, who is not a trained designer or lighting design professional, was going to correct a packet of nearly indecipherable lighting specifications. Let me lay out for everyone some of what I'm talking about in terms of the issues with the supply list. A markup of over 270% on the light fixtures used in Chateau Estates. GE's representative informed me that they should cost a max of $1,700 per fixture, factoring in nice distributor's markup. The price the city agreed to pay per fixture is $4,595. Number two, dozens of item specification codes that are nearly impossible to interpret. In one case, the same item actually appears in the list 3 different times because the first 2 inclusions are so indecipherable. Numerous out-of-production items, including nearly every high-pressure sodium fixture in the city. Dozens of transposition errors from years of copying and pasting a document that was originally crafted decades ago and hasn't seen a comprehensive review since then. The list goes on, but unfortunately I'm out of time. At the next meeting, I'll do my best to clearly explain how all of this goes against the best interests of the taxpayers, your constituents, and precludes a competitive bid process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Hat.
Hey, Ryan. Karen, thank y'all for coming tonight. Ryan, I know your discussion tonight is mainly on the specifications on the bidding and the lighting, but I still want to do a bellwether-type project for installation of certain lights in Driftwood to make them more uniform. I'm committed to doing that. I don't know how many we're going to do at once, but I do want to. I know you're meeting with George about the same thing in Chateau, but last time I spoke to you, we met for coffee, and I do want to do that. So we're going to do that this year. I want to make sure the residents like whatever you're proposing before it goes all out. But in terms of make sure the money's fine with it, and yeah, there's no one likes different color lights everywhere, but we are going to do that this year. And I know the other topics and other things a lot of people in here got to discuss with you. So, but thank y'all for coming. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Okay, thank you.
Chief.
Yeah, I just wanted to announce that the Kenner Police Department is again hosting a Citizens Police Academy. It is February 4th, and you can apply at kennerpd.com. It's a 10-week program where we get to show off the model police department we have. You'll learn a lot of lessons about how the department operates and see a lot of the equipment and get to experience shooting a radar, drunk driving, things of that nature, things that law enforcement deals with. So please apply. It's a 10-week program. It's every Thursday night for 2 to 3 hours, but we've never had a complaint. Thank you.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes, on the lighting issue, I was looking at trying to change lights in Chateau Estates because of the different issues that we had, where you had some of the new lights are LEDs, some of the old ones. And when Ryan came up with the idea of bypassing a ballast and putting a bulb in, it's a great idea, and it's a lot less costly than fixing a fixture. But the problem we ran into is that I had no idea that we were going to have so many problems with the poles with wiring. And the one that they did change on Chateau Rothschild so that we could see it, it looks great, but they had to rewire the pole. So that brings a new wrinkle into it where it causes a problem with the wiring in poles that have been out there for as long as Chateau's been there. So that's a stumbling block that we're trying to get through to fix that problem. And we'll see where it goes.
Councilwoman Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had to wait until we got council approval to do the MLK March. So on the 20th of January, that is this month, the flyers are going out tomorrow. It was kind of like a mishap that we didn't get it on the agenda until tonight. So tomorrow the flyers will be going out. I don't think there will be another council meeting prior to, and I didn't make the meeting on yesterday. So I hope that we have the cooperation of the city and the council and all of the residents to really come out. We have a great program. We're highlighting a lot of the youths for the MLK program this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Dunn. Last thing I'd like to say is to thank everyone here and at home who's watching. Our special intentions tonight for our colleagues and friends that have passed away probably took up the first 30 minutes of the meeting. But thank you again for bearing with us. Anything else to be brought up? Council adjourned.